I made my own personal changes by moving myself and my business from Boston up to a small town in Vermont called Lincoln because of quality of life. And I wanted to practice what I preach. The name of my business is MoneyPeace. I want people to match their values with their choices. I was lucky enough within the first few months of moving to town to meet a friend of mine, Ruth. Now Ruth was an 82-year-old retiree who had moved to Lincoln to retire and enjoy her life. And she had been there for several years, and she was a very enthusiastic and energetic woman. And I met her at the library because she loves to read, and I love to read. So we had a lot of connections, and it was great to get to know her. And she introduced me around town. Because, you know, the newcomer from Boston, you need someone to kind of show you around. And then she introduced me to the church and got me involved in the church. And we had known each other for a couple of years, and one day after church, I went up and talked to Ruth, and she seemed particularly stressed out and unhappy. And I said, Ruth, you know, what's going on? I knew her dog had died recently. And she said, Christine, I can't get another dog. I have to cut back my finances. It's not looking good. And I just don't know what I'm going to do. I said, well, Ruth, I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. And I was heartbroken because I know how much animals mean to her. And I said, Ruth, do you know what I do for a living? And she said, well, yeah. I said, well, would you mind if I just came over some afternoon in confidence as a neighbor and a friend and just looked at what you had and how it works and see if there's anything I can do? And Ruth was very kind. She said, sure, come on over, but Christine, I don't think there's anything you can do. I don't know what you could do. I can't get another dog, and I'm just going to cut back. So we made arrangements for me to go up to her house in Lincoln on a Tuesday afternoon, and I went up on Tuesday, and she was one of the most organized person I had ever seen. Laid out on the table was her ledger book with everything she had spent in the past year, probably in the past 10 years had I looked back long enough, and information on her income. She had a small pension and Social Security and had a few dividend income during the year from different stocks she had had. And so I was looking through everything and asking questions and getting a feel for it. She had a really small mortgage. And so I'm just talking to her, and she said, well, I'll go make a cup of tea. I said, great. So off Ruth went to make a cup of tea, and I'm going through the different piles and files. And all of a sudden, I find a file folder over here, and I started looking at that. And there were about 3 different mutual funds with over $100,000 in them. So Ruth came back in, and I said, Ruth, my friend, I said, you know, what, I was looking at everything, and I found this file. I said, you have over $100,000 over here. What's that for? And she said, oh dear, that's for my old age. And I said, Ruth, I hate to break it to you, but the time is now. Let's use this money and enjoy your old age. So Ruth kind of smiled and sat down and she didn't argue. She kind of thought about it. And I said, if we paid off your mortgage with some of this money and gave you about $500 in income more a month, what would that do for you? Oh, that means I could get a dog, and I could give more to charity, and I said, right, you wouldn't have to cut back. And she said, absolutely. So she was willing. Why I love that as a MoneyPeace story is she was willing to change her priorities. She was not living consciously by the facts. She was living by what she had done for the past 20 years. And that's what I like to challenge people to do, is to live with the facts and your belief system, but be flexible. We need to change with the times, change with our priorities and values, and be more flexible. So Ruth now is 87 years old, happily living with her dog and enjoying life. She actually has gotten a new car as well, and is doing work on the house because she wants the house to last for another 25 years or so because she's going so strong. And what I really want people to do is to practice with their money, to have purpose with their money, be practical with their money, and be peaceful with their money.